Welcome to the Home Assistant Podcast, episode number 14. Today I'm joined by Dale and Ryan. Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. We have a little bit of a late start this morning because I managed to sleep through my first alarm. I'm one of those people that sets 5 alarms, so hopefully one of them wakes me up.
It happens to the best of us.
Right, so let's jump straight into talking about the 0.59 release, which is the second to last release for 2017. And I just have to say, the future is here. There's now automated pizza ordering.
I saw that. That's incredible.
I just saw that and went, yeah, we've made it. Now we can order pizza automatically.
Actually, what's funny is that somebody else had, and it was probably a year and a half ago, somebody had set up Domino's ordering through Home Assistant, and it was just a shell script that they had written, and it just ordered easy order. It came out whenever the Alexa Domino's thing came out.
All right.
And I helped them perfect it, and it was really neat. But now that we have it as a component, that's pretty cool.
Well, it's interesting because again, it's something you wouldn't think would have an API is Domino's, right? So, but it's awesome that that's happening. Whether it's on the Echo, whether it's with Home Assistant, whatever it is, it's just the fact that it's happening is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and like the blog post says, you tie it in with your doorbell, and then it's all automated. Home Assistant orders pizza when you leave work on a Friday night, and then the doorbell rings, and Home Assistant lets you know. It's perfect.
And it can check traffic on the way too.
So what if you left a note that said, go ahead and open the door, leave the pizza inside, and tip yourself $5. Then when the doorbell rings, you could have the door unlock. I mean, it's not very secure, but it could happen. The doorbell rings, you unlock the door with Home Assistant, and then they leave the pizza, tip themselves $5, just put a dash across the signature line, and there you go. You don't even have to be there.
That's right.
I mean, that's pretty much what Amazon's doing.
Yeah.
Have you seen Amazon's new lock and camera?
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's you're absolutely right. It's one of those things right now. I can not be home. I can be wherever I am, and my groceries get delivered to my house when I'm at work at noon.
Yep, and you can have a package securely delivered to your house. I know GarageIt was working on something with package delivery couriers that they could scan something and it would open the garage door, and then the courier could leave the package inside the garage door or inside the garage and then close it automatically. I thought that was pretty cool. And then they also have this new, I guess it was on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. They had the box that you could scan your package. It would unlock the box. You put the package in and close it.
Yeah.
So it's sad that we've gotten to a world where we need these kind of things.
I was going to say, clearly I need it to build a man trap in my new house when we build in a few years, so that there's a door that couriers and stuff can unlock, and then the door that we unlock.
Yeah,
kind of like a mudroom for dogs.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh man!
Except it's for the couriers.
Yeah. What else have we got? We've got an enhanced color picker, which is, I guess, kind of focused on touch, because you poke the color picker and it pops up the colors, which is kind of nice, and context sensitive drop downs for the entity picker, which is going to make building automations and scripts and things so much easier.
Yeah.
I really need to update to 2.59. I've been so busy this week with everything. I'm still getting back into the swing of things. I was away for about a month and a half, 2 months almost, dealing with personal stuff. It's so good to be back, but I'm so behind on what we have available, and these seem like incredible enhancements. Like, these are things that I don't know. Like, it's crazy to see what happened while between updates.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's been really ramping up lately, and again, there's a lot more hubs coming in too. So part of the ones that came in on this one are Hive and Somfy, right? Or the Somfy's Tahoma hub, and it's kind of cool because now it's getting to the point where, regardless of platform and stuff like that, now you can start popping in has IO or regular Home Assistant and start automating between hubs, between things like that. So
Is Somfy the brand that has the tinting, the whiteout tint?
I don't know if they have the whiteout tints, but I know they do have a bunch of roller shades and things like that. I think
look that up real quick.
Yeah, I know AOTech has the frosting, the
Really?
frosting panel or whatever it's called. I haven't seen it. It's been on their website forever, and I've always been like, I wonder how much this costs. And I don't know if it's actually out or what, but
well, I've actually I funded a project on Kickstarter 2-3 years ago. I don't remember the name of it. I think it was something along the lines of Somfy though. And I got the product and it was great. You just push a button and it goes opaque, and then you press the button again and it goes clear. It was pretty cool, but I had no use for it, so I just ended up giving it to a friend and he put it to use somehow. But I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen those in a commercial environment where just for like a ooh ah kind of factor, right? Where TVs pop up out of nowhere and then they push a button and then the white wall is no longer white and you can see through and things like that, right?
Well, and then it's really great for conference rooms that are covered in glass. I remember seeing it in the movies back in the early 2000s or late 90s. They just flip a switch and the whole room goes opaque. But in today's world, it's actually pretty helpful. If you have an all glass conference room, you can put this tint on one part of the glass and have your projector projected at that.
Yeah.
And you could do a reverse projection or you do a forward projection. I mean, it's actually pretty handy. But yeah, we're getting a bit off topic, so
the possibilities.
That's all right. Yeah, I didn't actually know what Hive and Somfy were, so I've learned something today. How about that?
Hive actually looks like just another hub with a paid service, though.
For our friends in China, Baidu text to speech.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. I always like seeing international features like that. So that's great. I went to, do a bit of research into their text to speech and went, oh, this page is all in Chinese. Never mind.
Apparently we have a huge community in China. We were discussing it the other day, and it's just, it's incredible. Like they have their own forums.
Really?
For Home Assistant. And they're,
Wow. Yeah, I imagine all
incredible.
The local polling and everything is good behind the Great Firewall.
There's even I think it's a touch switch, like an in-wall touch switch. It's it was made for Home Assistant. It was made by a Chinese company. It's like HA Smart or something. I don't remember.
Oh, interesting.
But we were talking about it, and so it's pretty neat.
It's crazy. What else have we got? Echo Bee Weather. That's cool.
That one was kind of cool.
Yeah, there's.
So I haven't read up on that one. Let's go into detail about that one a little bit. I personally have an Echo Bee 3 and I love it. So I'm curious about what this does.
Yeah. So if you log in once you update, if you log into your Home Assistant, all of a sudden you see a new card, and it kind of gives you the weather and a little bit of graphs around the weather. It's pretty neat. I mean, I haven't tried to use it in any automations or anything yet. I literally just updated it a couple of nights ago, so I haven't had the chance yet.
Nice.
But yeah, it kind of gives you your outside temperature and wind speeds and stuff like that too. Similar to the weather component.
Okay, so it's basically just just an additional weather platform.
Yeah.
So so on that note, do we think that any of these thermostat companies will be releasing any weather station components, like accessories, anytime soon? Like Nest or Ecobee?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they have all the data, whether they pay for it or get it by their own sensors or whatever. They have the data. So why wouldn't they build their own weather stations and such, right?
That's what I'm thinking, and just a little Bluetooth accessory, BLE or even Wi-Fi. It doesn't matter. I know we have one that's like Sky Bloom, Bloom Sky, and that's pretty neat. But I'd love to see one that integrates with the indoor thermostat, so that I don't know. It just, to me, so many things that can integrate with each other. your sprinkler system and your weather station, your indoor thermostat. It's just possibilities endless.
Well,
again.
And I think that's where something like a Home Assistant comes in, right? Because again, Ecobee might have their own, weather platform versus somebody else. Maybe it's an automated sprinkler system and something else. They use something else, and then maybe you have Nest at home for your actual thermostats. Right now, you can kind of start picking and choosing, and then let Has do all the brains behind it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly what Home Assistant is for. So.
Yeah.
What else have we got? Ubiquiti AP Presence without a controller. I'm not entirely sure why you'd be running Ubiquiti APs without the controller, but if you were, now Home Assistant can SSH into the APs and pull the data of who's connected directly from it, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I honestly can't think of a use for it because the controller is pretty damn awesome. But yeah.
Well, I do know that the controller, for a while, people, were just running it, and it was taking up so much resource, so many resources on their computer, and it was just becoming a resource hog that it was a burden on just your workstation.
Yeah, it is Java.
So I do know that much.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and again, for smaller environments where you have a single AP, you don't need a controller.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah, well, why bother with the overhead?
Yeah, I have 3 APs, 5 switches, and a security gateway.
Nice.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's all right. We've got a breaking change for Hue, and I didn't actually look it up before we started recording.
Yeah, so apparently, and again, not having any Hues in my house, it's from what it sounded like. It sounded like when Home Assistant generates the names of the Hue bridges, basically sometimes you have the chance of having, if you have multiple, you have the chance of the names colliding. So there was just a fix for that, but it was a breaking fix. I'm guessing that there's going to be some kind of change needed. I put that in the show notes just because I was like, okay, enough people have Hues out there, so it's probably important to note. And essentially my note to you is read the blog post.
Yeah, because I do have Hue, but it didn't break.
Yeah, it depends on how many Hue bridges you have, right?
Right, so it changes the name if you have multiple, because I only have the one. Because my house is small enough that I don't need more than one.
Yeah, there's a separate section in the Hue documentation that talks about multiple Hue bridges. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I honestly don't know of anyone using multiple Hue bridges. So it's good that this breaking change is not going to affect a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I see. So the Hue component creates an all Hue lights group, and that can be a bit confusing if there's multiple bridges. So now it goes name of bridge all lights, which works.
Yeah,
well, that's good.
Yeah, so that's good. And judging by the comments, there are definitely some people that have multiple Hue bridges. And Has.io news, one of the new community add-ons is the Cloud9 IDE, which I am loving. I moved to Has.io in the past couple of weeks, and I've been doing all of my configuration editing in the Cloud9 IDE. It is
so Cloud9 is based on ACE, correct?
I don't know.
Because whenever it was probably a year and a half ago, I started just playing around with ACE and this jQuery tree view and seeing if I can get just a nice little configurator. But then somebody actually released a configurator, and I've been running that, but it's too difficult to move around. So I'm kind of excited to see the Cloud9 IDE in action inside of Has.io.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, IntelliSense drop-down completion and everything. It just works so well. I'm loving it.
Does it have completion for MDI icons?
That's a good point. I haven't tried.
Because if it doesn't, then that would be a good feature for someone to add. Is you just type in MDI and then colon, then you have this list that pops up with all these icons, the name of the icon and the icon next to it. There you go. Yeah,
it would be super handy. Surely it can't be too hard to add plugins to it. Nice. Yeah, so I think that's about it for the 5.9 release. And yeah, I have moved to Has.io after the discussion we had on the podcast a little while back, along with some very robust discussions in the podcast channel on Discord. So thanks to everyone that got involved in that and convinced me to give it a crack. And it's been going really well. I'm actually running the generic installer on top of Ubuntu 17.10, and it's been working super well. I've been
so for guys like me out there, what's the big difference that you found between using Has.io versus regular Home Assistant? Was it easier? Was it is it just more integrated support? What's the seller for you?
Yeah, just having everything integrated and being able to go, I want to add, the bridge between Apple HomeKit and Home Assistant. Let me just go into Has.io and go install and throw some configuration in it, and it's done. And that's cool. And the Cloud9 IDE, also just a click and an install. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that.
So back when I was checking out Cloud9, I thought it was a paid IDE, or is that just for like their storage or something?
I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it just seems to work.
But you didn't have to pay anything to use the Cloud9? Okay.
There's a pricing tab.
Yeah, I guess the thing about Has.io is it enables you to be a bit lazy, which is kind of nice. The only thing I've done manually is add MongoDB, because I've been playing around with persistence and pushing a whole bunch of sensors and things into MongoDB using AppDaemon to make them persistent without storing them on disk, which has been quite successful, actually.
So one of the things that's stopping me from switching over to Has.io is I run Unraid now, and I've been wanting to switch Home Assistant over to my Unraid server, but there's no solid way to install Has.io on Unraid properly.
So
my latest research was about a month and a half ago. There might be some progression on that now.
So what virtualization does Unraid use for VMs? Is it KVM?
I'm not sure. I do know that it uses VTI in the Intel processors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my Core i7 3770K does not support that, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
VTX or something, VTD. So I can't run, I can't pass through graphics cards.
Right.
So I wasn't able to run Blue Iris in a Windows VM. But something that's not heavy strong on the processor or the GPU should be fine. But I don't want to run it in a VM. VM takes up so much resource. I don't want to do that. I'd much rather run Has.io in a Docker container, because that's what Unraid is built around, is Docker containers. And you just provide a simple config and boom, back it up. And you can have your Unraid server back up and running in a matter of 30 minutes if anything goes down.
You might be able to message it to get the installer to run on Unraid. I'm not sure. Because all Has.io is, of course, is just a collection of Docker containers, and you have the supervisor container, which kind of talks to all of them, but I'm not sure if you can.
And that's where the issue is because Unraid is based on Slackware.
Yeah.
Unraid OS is based on Slackware. So that's, I haven't done a ton of research on it, but I couldn't find a solid supervisor for Slackware.
The generic,
could be wrong.
The generic supervisor, which it runs inside a Docker container, should run okay on Slackware.
Okay.
It'd be an interesting project. I've got an Unraid license hanging around somewhere. Might have to have a look if I get a chance.
There you go. More activity.
Unraid has changed my life. Oh, it's amazing. I just need a hard drive expansion controller now and a new chassis, 24 bay. Get that going. I maxed out with 6 hard drives on my motherboard.
All right.
I've got the Plus license, so I really need to get a hard drive expansion controller and then put some more hard drives in there. So I can have more than 12 terabytes.
Yeah, there never exists the never-ending quest for more storage.
Yeah, it's real. The struggle is real. I'm already at like 75% of my 12 terabytes.
Wow,
it's crazy. But I also do backup multiple machines using RSnapshot. So I do 4 hourly per server per day, so every 6 hours, and then I do daily for a week, and then I do weekly for 4 for a month.
You're much better at backups than me.
Honestly, man, all you have to do is set up RSnapshot, and it's all taken care of.
I know. I really
you don't have to look at it again until it goes down.
Yeah, yeah. I've been thinking of doing a whole bunch of backup stuff on my NAS too. that requires me to actually do it, and I haven't.
Okay, I'll tell you right now. Our snapshot takes maybe an hour to set up. You pick the directories you want to back up, and set it and forget it.
That's cool.
It's incredible. It has changed my life as far as I'm terrible at doing backups.
Yeah,
but our snapshot changed my life. So
as long as you're backing up your Home Assistant configuration, Rohan, that's the important bit, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that I am doing actually. So yeah, I back up a ton of stuff on my Home Assistant server, and then I actually moved almost everything off of the Home Assistant server except for Home Assistant itself and Haspot. So those are like pretty much the only two things running on the Home Assistant server now. So
yeah, mine. I need to. I've started pushing all my configs to Git now, except obviously the only thing is my secrets file. But yeah, I do still need to find a proper way to back up my secrets file just in case.
Or snapshot.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's all it's all sitting on my NAS right now. Anyways, it's running in a Docker swarm, pulling from my NAS. So it's.
So what happens if your NAS crashes?
Yeah, exactly. So now I need NAS replication. I've actually got two NASs, one at my place, one at my parents'. So I'm thinking of just turning that on. So
all right, we don't actually have a hell of a lot else to talk about. We do have a special episode coming up next week. So we're actually going to release episode 15 and then 16. So there's going to be an episode a week for the next 3 weeks. And there's a really exciting feature that we're going to release that we're going to tell you about in the next episode. And Paulus is actually joining us for that.
Yep, we can't tell you what it is. You just got to check back and wait.
Absolutely. So
wait and check back.
Make sure you keep an eye out for the next episode, which will actually be out 2 days before this one, so in 5 days, I guess, 5 and a bit days, the new episode will be out, and you'll be able to hear all about this exciting new feature. And Paulus is also going to tell us all about his kind of future vision for the project and the community as well, which will be super interesting to hear.
Oh, this podcast coming up is some of the biggest news that we've seen yet for the Home Assistant project.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
It's incredible.
We've all been testing it out, and it's amazing.
It's solid too, and the improvements we've made since we started just a couple months ago, it's incredible.
Yeah,
and that's all we're going to say about that for now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what else I could say, and it's like
I think it's
possibly one of the best features ever, or I don't even want to call it a feature. I mean, it's just I don't even know.
It's just lifestyle.
Yeah, it's going to change Home Assistant as we know it.
Yes.
Yeah. So make sure you listen. I think that's the point we're all trying to get across.
I think so.
So subscribe to the podcast for updates, and that way you know as soon as it drops, you can listen to it, and you'll know exactly. I mean, the title's probably going to give it away. So
possibly, yeah.
Yeah, probably. But at least that'll get people to listen, right?
That's right.
All right. Unless you guys have anything else you want to tell us about what you've been up to with Home Assistant lately, we'll probably wrap it up.
Well, I do see a couple of things in the notes that we haven't talked about. The motion persistence.
Yeah, okay. I guess I kind of briefly touched on it when I was talking about HAS.io, but I have motion sensors for lights on AppDaemon. And one of the big frustrations for me was every time I restarted AppDaemon, all the timers disappeared. All the timers stopped, which is really annoying. So now I'm pushing all my timers to MongoDB, and every time the Motion app restarts, it looks at MongoDB and goes, "Is there a timer in progress?" And if so, it resumes it. And I've pushed all my my input selects and input booleans and my limitless LED lights and everything like that into MongoDB as well, so I can actually restart both Home Assistant and AppDaemon now in the middle of the day if I feel like it, and everything persists across, which is awesome.
So is there a performance increase using that over MQTT?
I don't know. I just
because it was you that was using my persistence
yes.
package, correct?
Yep. Indeed. I actually only looked at that yesterday and went, oh, so that's how he's doing it.
I still have yet to switch it over to the MQTT state stream. I need to do that because it would increase performance tenfold. But
yeah, there wasn't any particular reason for me to go to MongoDB. I guess it's just it's what I thought of when I was thinking of that kind of data store, and it means that I can view it and have indexes and things like that as well.
That would definitely increase performance. I was talking with QuadFlight the other day, and this is on topic of motion. I was talking with QuadFlight the other day. He had run into an issue with some motion algorithm that he was working on. He has it set up now that he can adjust timeouts on the fly, and he almost has it perfected so that the lights are just perfect across restarts. I don't know how he's doing it. It looks super complicated, but he's got input sliders and he's got 2 binary sensors for timeout. I don't know. It's super complicated, but he said it works incredibly and it's reliable.
That's interesting.
We might want to bring him in to talk about it one day.
Yeah, I've been spending ages tweaking my timeouts, and I think I've got the times about right so that the lights don't go off on us. But being able to, dynamically set those timeouts would be pretty cool. If he has got a way to do that instead of me having to think of a way to do it.
Yeah, no, he does. He does indeed. That's one of the selling points of his configuration around that, is that he can dynamically change the timeouts. I was working on something similar to that about a year ago with MQTT, but I ran into an issue which has since been fixed. It was something around templates, and it was fixed like a couple of weeks later, and I just never picked it back up. But right. I would push something to MQTT, and then it would be like the time, and then it would come back. I don't know. But yeah, he can dynamically change the timeouts. So if the first situation that comes to my head is not ideal to talk about, but let's say it's in the middle of the night and you go to the restroom. You don't want the light to stay on for 7-8 minutes. Mm-hmm. So in the middle of the night, you're just going to set the timeout to just a couple of minutes in the bathroom. So, and then dynamic brightnesses. So in the middle of the night, you would want it to be obviously dimmer. And if you use color bulbs, you can do dynamic colors so that in the middle of the night, it's going to be red instead, so that the way it doesn't affect your night vision. So
yeah.
There's so many things you can dynamicize with motion.
Yeah, absolutely. I've currently got a separate component that does the, if it's between sunrise and sunset, set the brightness to this, and if it's the other way around, then set it to this, and if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, make it very, very dim, and it seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, I went as far as to have an hourly breakdown for mine. Wow. So at 7 a.m. it's a certain brightness, at 8 a.m. it's a certain brightness, and like 9 a.m. through 8 p.m. it's a certain brightness, and yeah, it's. Wow. I've got it all listed out, and I call it my global brightness, and my light control script is based on that. So if I don't provide a brightness to the light control call, then it'll take the global brightness. Well, first it looks at it looks for an input slider, or which is now an input number. It looks for an input number or a sensor with the name of the entity, the light that you're changing, and then underscore brightness. So let's say you have light.living room. You could have a sensor named, sensor.living room underscore brightness. And then whatever that brightness is at, light control will take that brightness and set it if you don't provide a brightness. And if that entity doesn't exist, then it'll take the global brightness.
That's cool.
It's really complex, but
yeah,
it works for me.
Yeah, I think I need to do light level sensors in all my rooms as well, and do some kind of calculation based on time of day plus light level to set the brightness. And of course, that's just another thing that I've just thought of that is going to take up all my time.
Well, if you do pursue that, please let us know what light sensors you end up going with, or which ones you test, and what your thoughts are. Because a lot of us have tried out light sensors, and they're not solid. Like the best one I found, it's not ideal for using with Home Assistant because you have to pull it, but it's the Hue Motion, and it's super expensive. But its light sensor is on point. It uses a logarithmic algorithm, and that way you have finer details. It works, but you still have to pull it.
I was looking at the AOTech ones as well, because I think their smart sensor has a light sensor in it as well.
It does, yeah. The 4-in-1 and the 6-in-1 both have light sensors in them.
Like the multi-sensor 6?
Yes, I think that's what it's called.
That light sensor did nothing for me.
Really? Okay, good to know.
I couldn't get it to even work properly. So
wow, that's good to know.
And again, that's the quickest that'll update. If you're on battery, the quickest that'll update is every 4 minutes.
Right.
Oh.
So, whereas the Hue Motion will update, every second if the light changes. So you have to pull it. I wish you would release a push, just something, a JSON stream push option, anything like that is literally the number one feature that is missing from Hue. If they would just do that, so many people want it. So many people could use it, and it would make Hue even more powerful. Now, on that topic, if we take the Amazon Echo Plus, I pre-ordered it. I got it. Honestly, I was disappointed because there's not much you can do with it. It's literally locked into the Alexa ecosystem. You cannot. There are no open ports to access which lights are connected, so it doesn't even act like a Hue bridge. You can't use it with the Hue app. You can't use it with iControl Hue. You can't use it with Hue Remote. You can't use it with any of those apps. And I really hope Amazon's really good at listening to what their developers and what their users want. So I'm really hoping that they're able to improve on the Echo Plus and open it up to allow it to be a better Hue bridge that also integrates with the motion, the dimmers, the contact sensors, all these Zigbee products and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi products that it would just, the Echo Plus has potential.
Yeah.
But it's too locked up right now. And that's super disappointing to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that was a limitation.
That's honestly the reason I pre-ordered it, is because I wanted to tear it apart, not tear it apart, but tear it out of the package and just start hitting the ports to see if I can get anything, and I couldn't.
It is annoying.
I don't know. So yeah, if you're, I haven't done research on it in over a month, but a month ago, I would say don't waste your money on an Echo Plus. If you're working with Hue, just get a Hue bridge. It's much more powerful. So
yeah.
But the Echo Plus has potential because Amazon listens to their customers.
Yeah, we really need a device.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We really need a device database for the Home Assistant community, don't we? Like, the 6-in-1 light sensor is terrible, and don't buy the Echo Plus.
Well, I mean, that's where the wiki would come in handy.
True.
But we've gotten the idea the wiki shut down a couple times. So
yeah.
But okay. I mean, and the reason is because our documentation is open source, so we could just have a product database on the website.
Sure.
Which is not a bad idea. Something we should probably work on. But again, our documentation needs work too. So if we're going to be working on the website, we might as well be working on documentation. So.
Yeah.
It sounds like something that we need, though, as a device database. I might have a think about that now that I've started talking about it, because it's not like I don't need anything else to do.
Well, and one of the things I do is I test a lot of products, because I like to reverse engineer products. Like I tried to reverse engineer the SwitchMate. Somebody else beat me to it. I'm not good with Bluetooth sniffing, so I'm glad somebody else is able to do it. But I like to get products and I like to reverse engineer them and get the protocol and just write a library for it. So I just like to try different products and see how they work, provide my feedback to other people in our community on how they work. Like I have pretty much every Zigbee hub known to man. And I mean, I have my thoughts on each one.
Yeah.
Don't buy the Con-B. Don't do it. Unless you're trying to, emulate the Hue bridge, don't do it. But USB ZV1, if you're willing to get your hands dirty, go for it. That's definitely a good stick. But,
see, this is all the information we need in a device database.
Yeah.
Yeah,
now we have to
look into that.
We have to.
Yeah.
Here's the Has Podcast spinoff project.
Yeah. Yeah, like we don't inspire enough people to do enough things already.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Dale, anything else you want to share? Because I've actually got a bullet in here which says, "What has Dale been up to?"
What has Dale been up to? Well, without getting too personal, I've had some major changes in my recent past that have caused me to take a step away from Home Assistant for a short while, and I am now in a much more stable environment, so I can focus a lot of my efforts to Home Assistant again. I am working a lot more at my company. I own a company, and I've been helping out with that a lot more these past couple weeks. So that's taking up a little bit of my time. I also got into Bitcoin about 3 weeks ago. I've been researching cryptocurrencies since 2010, and just like everybody else, I'm kicking myself for not following through and doing it and getting into it sooner. But I invested a little bit of money, and I started with Coinbase, and I tossed it over and started making money, and then I started exchanging and day trading and started making a little bit more money. And it's fun. It consumes a lot of time if you day trade though, but it's a lot of fun. So I've been doing that and working and thinking about Home Assistant and the future of Home Assistant and where we're going with it. I have a lot of things on my mind every day, but my personal life's getting a lot better, so that's good.
Glad to hear that. And I'm sure the community is going to be glad to see you getting back and getting your hands dirty as well.
I'm definitely excited to get my hands dirty again. I don't have a primary residence where I can set up a smart home anymore. So all of my, like, I moved my rack server or my rack cabinet to my office. So like my Home Assistant server, Hasbot, Unraid server, that's all at my office now. And I don't actually have any A19 or standard bulbs, so I can't set up any hues. I have all fluorescents in the drop ceiling. I can't automate anything at the office with my hue lights, and it's kind of a setback. But I can still play with things. I've got my Z-Wave network set up. I've got Zigbee stuff plugged in, so I can still test stuff and play around with it, see how it works. But no automation for me right now, unfortunately. But soon, one day in the near future, I really hope to be back in a home of my own and fully automating again. I miss having, oh my gosh, going from an automated house to not an automated house.
Man.
Yeah. You don't realize how much of and I know this is it's a first world problem. It really is. But how much of a burden it is to hit a light switch when you walk into a room, or to, look in a room and see the lights on and wish it was off. It's incredible. It's things you don't think about when your home is truly automated.
Yeah.
So, but I love home automation.
So do we.
Well, I hope
that's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're here, right?
That's it.
So, and with that, there's no one perfect solution for everyone. So, what I use in my home is not going to work for you or for Dan.
Yeah.
It's every home is different. So it's glad, I'm glad to have a platform like Home Assistant that integrates with so many things that allows people to use what they want and what works for them. So that's one of the best things about Home Assistant is it's so, I don't know the word. It's so versatile. Broad. Yeah, versatile. There we go. It's so versatile. And that's in my mind, that's what makes it the most powerful home automation system in the world.
Oh, we really need that device database. Oh no!
All right.
I'm already kind of thinking about how that could work. That's not good.
Let me guess. You have Word open. And you're already typing stuff up.
They haven't quite got that far, but yeah, not far off.
That's funny.
Oh man,
I do agree. Ryan, we definitely need that device database.
Ryan, anything new for you before we wrap it up and I go get myself ready for work?
Not a ton. I moved my stuff to Swarm, like I said, from a standalone Docker container. So going for availability. Outside of that, I'm got a blog post that I started writing on it and just why I did it and what I did. That'll eventually be up. But outside of that, not a ton. Just trying to stay afloat with work and trying to keep up with the home automation work. So that's it.
On the topic of Docker, a couple months ago, I was fully against Docker. Like I couldn't recommend it to anyone. And then as soon as I started using Unraid, Docker is just so much easier. It makes so much more sense to use.
Oh yeah, it like changes your life.
It does. It does. I don't know what I think because I was on a Raspberry Pi with an 8 gig SD card, and Docker took up so much of that space.
Yeah,
I wasn't okay with that. So if you're using low amounts of storage, Docker's not good. But if you have a fair amount of storage, it's incredible, and it makes things so easy. So,
yeah, and even like turning on and off, like if I want to make a change or something like that, or update Home Assistant, it's a matter of killing the container and restarting the container, right?
Yeah. Unless you're renaming Z-Wave entities.
Yeah, don't do that.
If you rename your Z-Wave nodes or devices or entities, whatever, don't just turn the container off. You got to make sure you shut down Home Assistant properly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it won't save the Z-Wave config.
Yep.
I think that's about it for me.
Ditto.
Oh, yeah. So thanks, guys. And of course, don't forget for our listeners to tune in for next week for episode 15. I'm sure that you'll all enjoy what you're going to hear.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
And thanks for coming on, Dale. Good to hear your voice again, and we'll have you back on again soon.
Take care.